to be doing a battle of the monster movies between Nikki and Miranda. I'm going to be the judge. I'm really excited. I love monster movies. Just as a reminder for everyone, we are giving away a Wings of the Damned for podcast t-shirt. Nikki and Miranda are wearing theirs right now, and if you can see them, they look really nice. Squeezed mine on over my belly the other day for about 15 minutes, and then was like, that's enough, because it doesn't really fit. So if you'd like to win a t-shirt, email us, send us a message on Facebook, send us a message on Twitter with your favorite monster movie and why. And we will go through all the responses and pick the best one, and the recipient will win a t-shirt, which we are not currently selling, so this is the only way for people besides the three of us to get one. So you'll be very, very exclusive.
It's like a squad.
Yep.
It'll be like a secret club. We're also on Stitcher now, so it's another way for you to access our podcast if it's easier. Is that for Android?
I'm not exactly sure if it's specific to any device.
Yeah, I think you can get it.
I think it's just like a site and an app.
I've never used it, so I wouldn't know.
Neither have I.
Because I have an iPhone, it's just easy for me to use the podcast app. But yes. But anyway, we are on Stitcher, so it's another way for you to find us if that's how you choose to listen to your podcasts.
We're slowly sneaking everywhere on the podcast network.
Also, if you're upset about our sound quality, we're going to be trying to get some better mics, and that should hopefully fix that problem. So bear with us.
Yeah, they're expensive, but that's life, I suppose.
It's expensive to be alive.
It is. Okay. How are we going to do this? Who's going to start this, Rachel?
I'm going to have Nikki go first, because when she and I did our battle, she went second. So she can go first this time.
Alright, so I did the monsters from The Descent, and The Descent is like a really, really dark, depressing horror movie about 6 women who go spelunking, and they are trying to explore this cave system that was supposed to be a level 2 cave system, and it turns out their friend took them down into a cave that nobody's been in before. So then there are these monster things. There's not a lot to explain really about the plot. It's pretty, uniform. They go down into the cave and then the monsters start eating them. So this is a quote from the director. He says, "What it is about is a descent into madness and a physical descent into the depths of the earth." Basically, as these women get more and more lost, their friendships start falling apart, they start going crazy. They say that you can see things in the caves that aren't there. You can hallucinate, auditory and visual hallucinations, so it's pretty scary. And the director used an all-female cast, which is pretty unique with horror movies. He also called it subtitles 6 Chicks with Pics, which is really cute. But he said, "I must confess, I went into it cautiously," which makes me crack up because his business partner was the one who convinced him to do it. And he didn't want to do it at first. And so I said, those are the 3 rules of filmmaking. No children, no pets, and no women, apparently. But he did it anyway, and it turned out to be a pretty solid film. So the monsters. The monsters don't come into the movie until about an hour in, which makes it even more terrifying when you finally do see them. And they are called cavemen or crawlers. The women, as they get deeper in, there's a cave in, and they can't go back the way they came. So they're trying to find another way out of the cave system. And they come across this really old mural on the wall of the mountain with 2 different entrances and exits. And it's kind of suggested that humans went one way in evolution, and these cavemen, these crawlers, kind of went the other way. And they are these, pale, skinny, fast monsters that go out of the cave system to hunt, bring their prey back in, and eat it. And they can't see at all. They're completely blind, but they have these kind of bat-like ears that help them hear. They basically almost use some weird sort of sonar to...
It reminds me of something. I'm trying to remember what they're called. I know what they're called. I'm just trying to remember what they're called. What's your I haven't seen The Descent in so long, so I can't even remember exactly what they look like.
They're gross. They're like dripping mucus out of their mouths, and they have these like really sharp teeth, and they crawl around. Their spines have actually like rearranged so they have like an arched back. They're pretty scary. And
I remember what it reminds me of. In Skyrim, have you ever played Skyrim?
No, but I've seen somebody play Skyrim.
There are these creatures. They're underground dwelling creatures, and they've like literally done they're called Falmer, and they like were originally these snow elves, but they were turned into slaves, and so they like lost their sight, and they use sound. They're like white and scrawny and kind of like hunched over. It sounds exactly like what you described. It really freaked me out. But
they're like really fast. They can hang from the ceiling and stuff, and they're terrifying. The director said that he used Nosferatu as an inspiration. One of the actresses actually, she said if a Klingon and Spock had a baby and it was quite a bit shorter and sinewy and it was cousins with Gollum, that's what it looks like, which is totally true.
It's so perfect.
Yeah. So the actors, they spent 3.5 to 5 hours in makeup every single day to get this look. And the men had to shave every part of their body. So, because otherwise the makeup wouldn't look right on them.
Yeah.
And they weren't uniform either. Like, every single one had a different sort of look to its face. Like, one of them had this permanent scowl, and one of them's nose was pointier. Like, they just had different expressions, and then they did this kind of, like, witchy kind of hag sort of look for the women, too. It was really, really creepy. And the director wanted to have real actors rather than dancers, even though it did require a lot of physical agility to do it. He wanted that body language and everything to be something an actor would do. Like, it really was a character.
Yeah.
So the actors had a lot of fun in the scenes doing it because they wouldn't let girls see the crawlers until they were in the scene. So they didn't know they were going to be in the scene. And so I don't know if you guys remember, but the first scene where you actually get a good look at one close up, they have that little infrared camera, and they're using that to look around, and you're looking at the group as if you were facing them, and behind them, in the infrared camera, one of them just comes up and stands behind her, and it just makes you jump out of your skin every single time. Oh god, these things are so gross and creepy. And so they didn't know that was going to happen when they were looking through the infrared camera. They had no idea, so that reaction was completely real.
Oh my gosh.
So apparently also there were a lot of like minor injuries while they were doing this because the action was super intense, and like when at the end when Juno and I think her name is Sam are fighting the cave monsters, they were almost naked. The actors were almost naked. So they were rolling around and getting, like, lacerated from the sand on the floor, and they were just all torn up.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, like, it was hard for the girls, but they were in, like, active wear.
Yeah.
So they weren't, the actors weren't wearing anything. So, like, those monsters, they're really scary, but like I said, they don't come in until more than halfway almost through the film. It's a pretty short film. And the things that scare me about this movie are the caves themselves. I was writing while I was watching it, I was like, I do not like heights, I do not like enclosed spaces, the dark, or the cold, or the wet, and I don't like watching people have panic attacks when they get stuck in a small space, or watch them get compound fractures and, like, hear it. Like, that.
Oh my God,
in case you're not sure off the top of your head what a compound fracture is, it's when the bone comes through your skin and you hear it happen when one of the characters gets it. And they're just, like, going over these caverns and having to, like, reach up above them and put... I don't know what the technical terms are for any of these things, but put the little hooks for the ropes up there, so, like, the girl's hanging by one hand over this just endless, bottomless pit.
Yeah.
And she's, like, they really sold it, too, because they were, like, screaming in pain, like you would if you were hanging by one hand for that long, and you're like watching them, and you're like, are they gonna get over that? Someone's gonna fall. And then there's like rope burn. When the rope drops, there's like, this girl's wearing a glove, and the rope burns right through the glove and through her hand, like to the bone. When you look at her hand, it's like just gushing blood. And everyone's had rope burn in some capacity. Like everybody's been walking their dog, and their dog suddenly pulls the leash, and you've had a little bit, so you can imagine how much it would hurt to have rope burn like that. So these are the things that actually scared me the most about it, is that it's just like an hour of my hands sweating while I'm watching them do that. Oh, I also don't like people having their throats ripped out. Like, all the violence looked super legit in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
It was disgusting. Like, the girl's watching someone being torn apart, and she's trying not to make noise because the monsters can hear the noise, and she's like gagging because that's what you would do if somebody was being ripped apart in front of you. And so I think the thing I like about this movie is that the reactions are super realistic, and you just think they did this all on a soundstage, and you believe it, you buy it every single time. That's basically what I have to say about The Descent. I don't want to give away things about the plot because they really don't have anything to do with what's scary about the movie or the monsters or anything. So, yeah, that movie makes me, like, sick to my stomach, and it makes me feel like I'm standing on a really high bridge or something every single time. And no other movie I know makes me feel like that, so.
I need to rewatch that, because as you were talking about it, I kept having, like, flashbacks. Yes. Like, I remember that. So I need to just go back and rewatch the whole thing. Because I think, when did this come out? Do you know?
2005.
Yeah, I think I saw it when it came out. I don't know if I saw it after that. I loved it.
For a long time, it was on, like, Amazon Prime, maybe. So I know that I saw it somewhat recently. I don't know if it's still there, but...
Yeah. Oh, and the characters, they're definitely not one-dimensional. They're all really interesting. There's one girl who is my personal favorite, even though she's really annoying while she's in the caves, but I think the character's name is Holly, and she's a base jumper, and she said she ran out of stuff to climb in Galway. And that's why she went on this expedition.
Interesting.
And so it ranges from, like...
I agree that the characters are really well-rounded.
Yeah.
A lot of the time with these kinds of movies, you just have, like, this basic sketch of people, and then you just throw them in this place and see what happens. But they all have, like, backstories and motivations and...
Yeah, the main character is getting over the horrible death of her husband. That's the first thing you see in the movie, really. So, she's more prone to, like, freaking out because it's only been a year since he's died and in a horrible accident, and she was right next to him. And then they range from, the girl from the Galway girl, and one of them's an English teacher. So they range from, top athletic ability to, like, almost zero athletic ability because they weren't supposed to be doing all the stuff that they end up doing.
Yeah.
And you just think, like, you feel like you're there with them the whole time. It makes you want to have, like, a wrench in your hand the whole time you're watching it because it's like, I feel like everything that they're doing, I picture myself having to do it. And I'd be like, I don't know if I could do that. I think I would just sit there and die.
Yeah.
I really don't know if I would have the balls to do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely would not have made it out.
No.
Well, I definitely wouldn't have been able to.
That movie was, like, the whole thing's a ride. It's a real experience.
I love those movies.
That's all I have to say.
Good choice.
I thought, is this gonna count? But then I remembered those monsters, and I was like, oh my goodness. That was, like, a really weird, different thing.
It was.
Mine was, like, more about the movie, I guess. Mine's not so much about the monster, but... So, I picked The Fly, the 1986 one, because I love this movie. It's just... Okay, I'm not gonna get into it. I just really love this movie. So, just background information. So, it was directed and co-written by Cronenberg, and it grossed $60.6 million with only a $9 million budget.
Holy.
Yeah. It was the largest commercial success. Oh my god. I am really struggling with talking today.
We've had a long day today.
I am so tired. Okay. It was the largest commercial success of Cronenberg's career. It won an Academy Award, oh my gosh, for Best Makeup and it was his only film to win an Oscar. So it did extremely well. But I'm just going to do an overview of the plot just because I feel like this movie is so important. And if anybody hasn't seen it, Nikki hasn't, I'm going to throw you under the bus right now.
Thanks.
Like, to me, I don't know. With the plot of that movie, I don't know if you could spoil it. It's so apparent what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think everybody should watch it because it's another one of those movies where it's like, I can tell you what happens, but you gotta feel it. It's a feely movie.
Does someone build a giant fly swatter and
Yes.
swat him with it?
No. No.
I mean,
no, that would have been funny though. Our main characters are Jeff Goldblum as Seth Brundle and Gina Davis as Veronica. And actually, David Cronenberg, I didn't know this, he starred in it as a gynecologist later on, which sounds really weird if you haven't watched the movie, but it's coming up. So Seth Brundle is a scientist. He meets Veronica, who's a reporter, and he kind of tells her, like, I'm working on something huge. And he eventually convinces her to come home with him. And he's trying to show her, like, these pods that he made, and she doesn't even understand what they are. She calls them designer phone booths, which is really funny. But, he kind of explains to her that they're transporter pods. He's developed a way to transport, obviously, one thing from one pod to the other pod. So she gives him one of her pantyhose, and he transports it and everything.
It's like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
That's exactly what I said. I was watching it today. I was like, oh my god, Mom, this is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The same explanation of it, too, because in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he says that it deconstructs it and then recreates it instead of, like, just moving it. And it's the exact same thing in this. He explains it the same way. It deconstructs it and then it remakes it, or it remakes a version of it, basically. So yeah, he shows it to her and everything, and she is amazed, and she says she doesn't understand what happens, but there's, like, this really popular quote, and I didn't get the exact quote, but he says something like, you know what you saw, you just can't handle it right now. Like, she can't handle the fact that she just saw something teleport, basically. The movie progresses, and she doesn't understand, like, this is huge, you gotta let me do this, and he says, well, it's not done. And he shows her that when he tries to transport a living being, it doesn't come back right. There's just something wrong with it. The computer doesn't understand it, so he transports a baboon over to the other one, and the scene is so gross and so freaking sad.
Really disgusting.
It is. It's really gross. It transports it, but it's inside out. Yeah, so the baboon is, like, inside out inside the pod, and so, he explains to her that it doesn't work with any living beings. So they end up developing a romantic relationship, and Veronica, through this whole thing, Veronica's having issues with her ex-boyfriend, who's a total fucking creep. He, like, is in her house one time, and he acts like it's nothing. She's like, how did you get in here? Oh, I have a key. It's like, he won't give the key over. He's a total creep, and he's such a jerk. But she's having issues with him, so she goes, and she's trying to settle the score, because basically her and Seth decided, like, they're gonna have a relationship, but he realizes something he didn't get before, and so he fixes it in the computer, and then he transports a baboon, and it works. The baboon comes out fine, and it's actually really cute, because the baboon runs out, like, jumps in his arms, and it's so cute, and hugs him. So yeah, he figures out everything to do with it, and he's all, they want to send the baboon in to get everything checked out. Veronica goes and tries to solve a problem with her ex-boyfriend, and Seth gets really upset about it and jealous, and so he decides he's just going to transport himself without her there. Even though he promised her earlier in the movie that she was going to be there for everything he did, he just transports himself without waiting for any of the information to come back about the baboon to see if it was okay. So he transports himself.
That's stupid.
Yeah, he transports himself, and he comes out fine and everything, at least from what we see. But in reality, this is where shit, like, just goes downhill really, really fast, because we see as the audience that when he did the transporting, a fly got into his pod.
I knew that's what.
But he doesn't know this, so he seems fine, but then Veronica starts to notice he has these coarse hairs on his back that she's never seen before, and she cuts him off. He doesn't care. He doesn't think it means anything, but he's starting to change as a person. he has a ton of energy now. At one point, there's like this gymnastics scene where he's like, I swear to God, he could be in the Olympics, the things that he's doing, because he has all of this energy. He's eating sugar constantly. There's a scene where they're drinking coffee, and he's literally just piling the sugar in, and she says something like, would you like some coffee with your sugar?
Does he, like, throw up on his food?
I'm not there. Hang on!
I'm sorry.
My
brain is skipping ahead at 100 miles an hour.
Just wait. You're supposed to wait for that part. That part is so gross.
That's what flies do.
I know. It's disgusting, though.
And then they suck it up.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. We're not there yet. He's almost like shaking with energy. He's got so much energy, and he's like talking a mile a minute, and he's going crazy. He wants to have sex like all the time, and at one point, like, you can tell that they like were having sex, and he's trying to keep going, and she's like, we've been at it for hours. And she's starting to notice that there's something wrong with him. He starts to turn into a massive asshole, though, and at one point he wants her to go into the pod, and he tries to force her because he thinks that what happened to him was that he became pure. And so she won't do it, and he says, you're a fucking drag, you know that? Like, he screams it in her face and everything, and she leaves. Keeps getting worse, and she's visiting on and off. Veronica ended up getting the hairs tested, and it turns out that they're like insectile, and she tells him that, and he gets upset, and he's like, that's impossible, and that's stupid. But later on, he goes to the computer, and he asks the computer, like, what happened during the whole thing, and he finds out about the fly, and he realizes that he just got fused with a fly in this whole process. So his transporter is no longer a transportation pod, it's like a fusion pod, which wasn't even supposed to be able to do that in the first place, I don't think, but it did anyways.
When it's not real science, it can do anything.
Exactly. At one point, he's sitting there, and Veronica comes over. He's walking on, what are they called, crutches at one point, because he can't even stand anymore. He's having a lot of issues, and he goes to eat a donut, and he throws up on it. And he looks up, and he's like, oh, that was gross. And he says it in a way that's like, yeah, I've been doing this for so long, but I guess now that I have somebody in front of me, it is kind of gross, isn't it? It's really gross, but it's really funny. So his ear falls off. He can climb on walls now. His fingernails start falling off. He pulls one off. At one point, it's, again, really gross, and his transition just keeps on getting worse. But Veronica ends up finding out that she's pregnant with Seth's baby, and she wants to get rid of it. So when she comes to visit him about it, he is like this massive red thing. I don't even know how to describe what he looks like. He doesn't even look like himself. And he basically tells her, like, you need to leave because I'll hurt you if you don't. Because he's pretty much saying to her, like, bugs don't have any compassion, and if you stay here, I'm going to hurt you. And this is one of, like, the most popular things. Or one of the most popular scenes, but Seth says, you have to leave now and never come back here. Have you ever heard of insect politics? Neither have I. Insects don't have politics. They're very brutal. No compassion, no compromise. We can't trust the insect. I'd like to become the first insect politician. You see, I'd like to, but I'm afraid. And then Veronica says, I don't know what you're trying to say. And Seth says, I'm saying I'm an insect who dreamt he was a man and loved it. But now the dream is over and the insect is awake. Mm. And Veronica just says, no, Seth. And then Seth says, I'm saying I'll hurt you if you stay. And so she has to leave. But that whole scene about, like, dreaming that he was a man and all that, the whole conversation is so sad the whole time. And it's a really popular scene. But Veronica leaves, and she goes straight to the doctor because she wants her abortion that minute. It's like the middle of the night, and she's like, now, I need it out of me now. And so they go to the gynecologist, who I believe at that moment is David Cronenberg. And Seth has followed her the whole way, and he steals her and takes her back to the lab because she never got the chance to tell him that she was pregnant, but he finds out and everything. And yeah, and so he takes her back, and then this is just the ending scene. God, the end is so sad. So basically, Seth, he wants to merge himself with Veronica because he wants to be human again. He doesn't want to be Brundlefly anymore, which is what they call him. He wants to be human, so he wants to merge himself with Veronica. And there's a whole scene, and, you know, he turns into a fly, she pulls his jaw off, and then he fully turns into, like, this ginormous human-sized fly. So they're both in their pods, and Veronica's pod, something, I'm not going to explain the whole ending, but something happens and her pod isn't going to work, and so as Seth is trying to get out, the pod starts and he's halfway out and he gets fused with the transportation pod. It's so sad because when he comes out of it's a fusion process now. he got fused at the transportation pod. When he comes out, he's like this.
Why?
It's really sad because he's just like this creature with metal all through him, and it's like it's depressing because he crawls out. You can tell that he's in pain, and he grabs the gun that Veronica has in her hand at this point and brings it up to his head. And she's saying, no, I can't do it, and eventually she does kill him. And that's the ending of the movie, and it's so sad. I love this movie for so many different reasons, but there's a lot of reasons why this movie works so well. So it's a love story, a sci-fi, and horror film all wrapped in one movie. And it's kind of incredible because I believe Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis were in a relationship while they were making this movie, so their chemistry is just top-notch the whole time.
And really? I'm so into that. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure, but don't...
invested in it all of a sudden, like 30 years later.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. But their chemistry, either way, was just perfect. Like, you really felt for this couple. They were so cute. Because Seth Brundle was like this... He's kind of like this geeky, nerdy, nice guy. Like, actual nice guy. Not like what nice guys or fake nice guys call themselves nice guys. Like, actual nice guy. And he just turns into this completely different person. And Veronica is such a nice woman, too. It's a beautiful relationship, but it just gets so sad at the end. It also exemplifies the fear that technology was moving too fast for people to understand or to deal with. And also a glimpse at the changing of mankind. We think we keep bettering ourselves, but are we really? Are we really just turning ourselves into monsters?
Yeah. I was thinking that it sounded very much like a Shelleyan warning against ambition.
Yeah. It's like you're disgusted and you're sad at the same time in this movie, too. Like, you're grossed out by what's happening, but it's also so sad because you can tell, like, after he stops being such an asshole, you can tell, like, how much pain he's in. You have, like, a relatable storyline and relatable characters, and that's something that I kind of appreciate about romance in horror movies, is that to me, they feel more realistic than what you see in a love story, because you see this relationship that's deeply affected by a horrific change that, like, you can't move around. You either have to accept it or, move on. There isn't even really a hero in this movie, which I really appreciated, because my question was, would Brundlefly be dangerous if he was left to his own devices? My answer is no, because he didn't even want to be a fly anymore. Like, before, it sounds so stupid when I say it. He didn't even want to, like, go through with the change. He wanted to change already when he was getting close, and I don't think that there was any saving going on except saving him and getting him out of his pain. And it also shows, like, the beauty of human emotion and the beauty of human flaws as well. Purity is pretty much non-existent. He thought he was pure the whole time, and he wasn't. He thought he was getting better, and then it took a turn for the worst, and he missed being human. And then, like, things that didn't work, there's really nothing in this movie that doesn't work, except for the ex-boyfriend, because he kind of becomes a hero figure, which I really hated.
Yeah, that's an odd choice.
Such bullshit. Like, it was the only thing I didn't get, because he, like I said, he, like, tried to... Well, not tried to. He would, like, just go in her house, and he was such a douchebag the whole movie, and then out of nowhere, he's, like, this savior for her, and I really didn't appreciate that. That was pretty much the only thing. I feel like, as a monster movie, to me, it's one of the best, just because you see pity for the pain of the monster, like, you really understand what they're going through, and you also see how man creates the monsters within themselves. It's not just something external, it's something within us. In my notes, I just have, he's a 185-pound fly in all caps. Okay?
That's the whole movie.
Yes. And then it's essentially a Spider-Man film, except more realistic. I mean, if you think about it.
He doesn't, like, he uses...
He just doesn't become a superhero, but it's a more realistic version of Spider-Man. And if our monsters were real, I imagine that this movie is practically what we get. A monster that's so distressed by the process that it no longer even wants to live. So,
yeah.
That's
it made me think, because we were talking about how we both picked sad, gross movies. Oh, sorry. I fell over. We both picked sad, gross movies. We were talking about this earlier. And you were talking about the nature of the monster and stuff, and I was thinking, does that work in The Descent? Or are the monsters totally external? And then I remembered, so the monsters are like a very primal thing, the most primal thing you could possibly get in the Descent. And what happens is an encounter with their territory and with the monsters themselves makes the humans have some of those qualities. Like, they're now reaching down into, like, that part of your brain that is scared of the dark and the heights and the wet and bodily injury and isn't imagining anything, but it's a very concrete, like, tactile fear. That part of you is responding to the monster and is like, and this is another thing I loved about it, is the women start, you know, at first they're running and screaming and hiding because who wouldn't? And then they start figuring it out and they get angry. Like, you've never seen them so angry. They are then just kicking ass. They're like beating the shit out of these monsters. And I think, that part of them comes out because of the monster. And I think every good monster movie should have something like that. Because as we've said a million times before, there's a reason we're scared of it.
Yeah.
And it's because it's part of us.
I think it's interesting that you guys both do movies where the monsters aren't necessarily evil. I mean, in The Descent, they're like animals.
Yeah.
And now there's prey in their cave, and so of course they're going to hunt them down.
And it's territorial. They don't want them even there. They're like, fuck you, you're in my space. I've never had anything in my space before. So.
And in The Fly, I mean, he's not a bad person, but when he turns into the Fly, I mean, his primal instincts just take over. There's nothing he can do. I mean, it's totally, I think that quote is really interesting that, you know, I was a fly who dreamed he was a man, which I think just takes it down to, like, base human nature and how we're all just animals, but because we have this consciousness, it kind of elevates us or gives us a sense of being elevated above other creatures, but in the end, not really.
Yeah. Also, like, the two sides of us, the part that is that very base, like, monster, what you would call a monster, primal sort of thing, and our consciousness, they don't mix.
Yeah.
And when you have those together, they create very upsetting situations, because you can't reconcile one with the other. The one part doesn't care, the other part cares too much, it's all just...
But if you talk to Freud, though, that's the whole point of the ego. You know, the id versus the superego.
Oh, so you can, like, lie to yourself so you have a certain... I don't remember what Freud said, but...
Well, the id is, like, the evil, dark part, like, primal part
like,
of us.
instinctual
Yeah,
part.
and the superego is, like, overboard, follow the rules, be good,
intellectual.
all of that. Yeah, and so the ego is, like, where we reside for the most part, right in between. But none of that is proven. I'm just saying.
Right.
Freud
Freud is a lot of bullshit, but, you know, people still, they love Freud.
A lot of bullshit, but I always thought that the id and the ego and the superego seemed pretty legit.
Yeah, he has some things that definitely...
He hated women, so anything having to do with women...
Oh, of course, no.
Yeah.
He had some good things, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. In psychology, it might matter that a lot of his stuff doesn't hold water, but I tell you, in literary criticism, they don't give a shit. They're like, Freud said this, and this is what this means in this book.
Yeah.
I hate that. I come across so much of it, too, especially when horror movies are involved.
Yeah.
Because, oh god, that's a field day with Freud in horror movies.
That's so bad. That's
Sex and death, baby, that's where it's at.
God. When I was in high school, they taught us about the id, ego, and superego when we were reading Lord of the Flies. I didn't even learn about it when I was in psychology. It was reading Lord of the Flies.
Oh.
That's something that they like to teach in English classes.
I love it when we do 2 different or 3 different, usually, stories, and then we start, like, realizing how closely they connect, even if they seem completely different.
Well, and I think that's why... I think that's one of the fun things about monster movies. I mean, it is just this primal thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, you know, humans end up not being that much better than the monster in the monster movie.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like, if I didn't pick The Fly, I'd probably pick Frankenstein, because I love the book so much.
You know what? That's funny, because that was my second choice, too.
Yeah.
The book.
Yeah, and it is I found the book to be very sad, and I think it would have probably fit in perfectly with this conversation, to be honest.
Oh, no, well, you know, I brought up the Shelleyan thing with the ambition. It was just basically a warning against they used to believe that when a man had too much ambition, especially in science and everything, that, you know, that's not good. That's going to destroy you as a human. It's going to destroy humanity, and God, that still rings true today. There are some things we meddle in that end up, our use of that technology ends up being bad for us.
Well, and did you hear that now they have like an external uterus?
Oh, like if I could just take that out and set it aside. Can you imagine, Rachel, if while the baby was in there, you could just go like, boop, okay, we'll get it when it's ready.
Oh my god.
That probably is not at all what you were saying.
On one hand, like, that has its appeal, but, like, on the other hand, I don't know. It's just such a unique feeling being pregnant, feeling the baby move, that, like,
Right.
I don't know if I'd want to give it up.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, sometimes he sits in really uncomfortable positions.
Like right on your bladder.
Yeah.
Stomach down, and I'm just like, get out. You're being obnoxious.
When I saw this article for it, it's just this machine that the baby can grow in, and it's clear. You can literally watch your child grow from nothing. It's the weirdest thing. And when I first saw it, I was like, this is some science fiction-y shit here. But my second thought was, I mean, that might be really good for people who can't have kids, or a woman that can't carry a child, sort of a thing. So after I was like, I got over it, I was like, okay, this could be good.
Yeah,
but my first thought was that is fucking weird.
No. Like, say your eggs are good, but your uterine lining is too thin.
Yeah.
You can't keep the kid in there.
Right.
Then, yeah.
Yeah, be perfect.
Oh, I could definitely see it. Or for babies who are born too early,
yeah,
you would somehow hook them into that thing, and they could continue to develop, and it would almost be like they weren't born prematurely.
Yeah, it's like when you check the biscuits and they aren't done, you can just put them right back in.
Right, just put them on the upper shelf, and then they cook faster.
That's why they say bun in the
I was
oven.
gonna say, you have to say buns, you don't say biscuits.
Fine, the buns.
The baby is totally kicking right now. He's like, I'm really offended that you would want me
Oh,
out.
no. I promise I'll get it right next time. Child.
He's like, I'm super offended, Mom. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's a deleted scene in The Fly that's actually really gross. I don't know. Have you seen it, Rachel?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so he fuses an alley cat with another baboon.
I think it's the baboon that made it through successfully.
Ew.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I saw it separately.
That made it.
The thing is like in so much pain, but it's so pissed off it attacks him.
Ooh, no shit.
Yeah, and he has to like bludgeon it to death, but it was freaking gross. And in that same scene, he like grows a fly leg out of his left side.
Yeah.
It gets worse. He tears it off with his teeth. Yeah.
This man makes some very odd decisions.
Gross. There's a reason they cut it.
Yeah, it was a gross scene, because when I heard about it, I was like, oh, I've never heard about this, and I knew I had to watch it, and oh my gosh.
Well, so I know that they cut it because when, they showed it to, like, test audiences, right, the point of the scene was supposed to be him just desperate to try and find a cure.
Yeah.
And kind of see if he could unfuse them then. But the audience just saw it as him being, like, cruel.
Yeah.
And immediately lost all sympathy they had for him.
Okay, yeah, I can
They
see.
were like, that's really fucked up. Like, you took two innocent animals and fused them together and caused them this horrible pain.
Yeah.
So I think like his motivations in the scene were just too subtle.
Yeah.
And it's a visceral movie and it's a visceral scene. So I don't fault those people for taking it at like face value.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're just so horrified and grossed out that it's like, well, yeah, that's the first thing I think is, oh my god, he's torturing these animals.
I mean, he was pretty far in his transition, too. He was really creepy looking at that point, so. There is a part at the end, though, where he gets to that ex-boyfriend when he goes to find Veronica. He dissolves the guy's hand, like throws up on his hand, and then he throws up on his foot.
Ew.
And he dissolves his hand in his foot, and then he's just about to throw up on his face, and Veronica stops him.
You ever seen a Cronenberg movie?
No.
Okay. They're always gross. But oh my gosh, guys, two really good picks. I'm so excited. I have to choose now, right? See, the thing is, so when you guys told me this, and you both know this, but when you guys told me this, I was so excited because I love both of these movies. So it was a total even playing field. I'd seen both of them many times. I think they're both really great movies. I'm gonna pick. Darn it, I'm ready.
This is exactly what it was like when I had to to pick between your ghost stories. I was like, no.
No, I'm gonna go with The Fly.
Woo!
I think they're both great movies, but I think The Fly, I like The Descent better as a movie. If I had to pick one to watch repeatedly, I would pick The Descent, but I think that The Fly has the better monster.
The monster theme is a lot more overt.
Mm-hmm.
The Descent, and forgive me for saying this, The Descent, you really have to dig to come through with that theme of the women echoing the monster's behavior because it's an instinctual playing field. I think, like, many people wouldn't go through and go, oh yeah, that's what I got out of that movie, you know. But The Fly has it's a very, like, this is about a monster you're supposed to be sympathetic with, and here's the deal, and this is what, it really just keys the audience into the situation, basically, a lot better. The Descent, there's so much to worry about.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, just, like, hold me, is The Descent.
Exactly. But both really good picks. They're both such great movies.
But really, though, if we had, like, a cage match between Brundlefly and the Descent monsters...
Oh, the Descent monsters would... I mean, he would last, like, a second.
He just climbed up the wall.
They can climb up the wall, too.
I was going to say, they can climb up the walls, too.
He's got nothing.
He's got nothing but
throwing up.
And throwing up.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
He didn't even develop wings by the end of the movie, so...
Tom!
Yeah.
So you'd be really screwed.
Yeah. Well, that was fun.
That was really fun. I liked that. Good pick, Rachel, for topic.
Really good choices.
Yeah.
Nikki, you have to watch The Fly.
Yes.
I'm gonna watch that other one you recommended first, because that one sounds really interesting, and I don't know what happens in it yet, so...
Oh, The Brood.
Yeah.
The Brood is... I'm trying to think. So it used to be on Hulu, because Hulu used to have the Criterion Collection, but they don't have it anymore.
It might be on the horror movie app.
Shudder.
I was gonna say Stitcher.
I can't remember.
Shudder's kind of weird with their picks.
Yeah.
Really great.
Well, I'll find it somehow. Cool. So send us your monsters.
Yeah.
Give us a good explanation, because that is what is going to win you a t-shirt.
Yep.
So by the time the next episode is released, which will be 2 Mondays from now.
Yeah.
So Monday after next. So you have until Monday the 17th to send us in any form your monsters. Don't physically send them to us, because...
Oh my gosh. I don't have time to be fighting off hordes of monsters.
So we will be announcing who wins the t-shirt on the
next Monday,
24th. The episode that will be released on the 24th. So you have a good while to get your submissions into us by any means you can. And we're going to be starting something a little bit different at the end of the podcast. We thought it would be interesting to go around and say, what was something that scared you this week? And Miranda and I cheated today. And we went up to Iowa City to see the Black Angel that we talked about. I can't even remember what episode it was. Episode 8, maybe? We talked about it in our Cemetery Legends episode. So we went up there to see her, and she was amazing.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, she's...
very creepy, though. She stands above everything else, and she's just so...
She's so big.
Yeah.
She shrouds a good 6 to 8 feet around her.
Yeah.
And she's the only thing that is that color.
Yeah.
And it's a rather flat cemetery. So you just see all these little low graves around her for yards and yards, and you just see her, she's standing there. And Miranda took some pretty great pictures today, so we'll get those up on our WordPress as soon as we can. We noticed that, like, people are leaving stuff for her, too. Like, there are pennies and a dragon tear, and someone left, like, a fossil. I don't know if that, like, we never read anything about if you leave something for her, she'll spare you. We didn't touch her because...
No, we couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it.
I couldn't either, because I was driving on I-80, which is a road full of semis that don't give a shit about anything around them. And I was like, I really just don't feel like, well, let's just not chance it. Yeah. And if you don't touch her, you preserve the legend, you know. You preserve the fear surrounding her.
Yeah.
But then we had a kind of an interesting visit with another angel that we talked about in that episode. We went and saw the blue angel in Muscatine, and that's the one, if you don't remember, that Rachel talked about. It was in a mausoleum in this remote part of the cemetery, and she's the one who's kneeling down and has her hand cut off. And she was originally holding a rose, and the legend says if you saw her drop the rose, you would die. Well, someone... And we could tell her hand looks like it's been sliced off cleanly with some sort of power tool. And she's inside, so that wasn't like erosion or anything.
Yeah. They tried to say that somebody broke it off, but...
There's no way you broke it that cleanly.
It was cut off. It was definitely cut off.
Which really adds to the mystery. Well, we went over to see her, and it took quite a while to find her. And she was in this mausoleum. Well, we were driving around the cemetery for quite a while because we were lost. And finally, when we parked, out of nowhere, it just starts pouring.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there going, okay. All right, okay, so we'll just sit this out, no big deal. And then it finally slows down enough that we get out of the car, and it's this kind of big grassy expanse that goes through these gates that go to the mausoleum, and you can just see, because it's so humid, after that rain there's a mist rising off the pavement. And I was like, this is perfect cemetery weather.
Yeah, so Nikki was saying it was perfect cemetery weather, and I'm saying this is not okay, I'm not comfortable.
Well, and
the world's trying to tell us something.
I was acting all like brave and shit. But my blood sugar was dropping because I hadn't eaten anything in quite a while, and I was just like shaking. My heart was racing already. Mm-hmm. And so you have to walk around this mausoleum. It's facing basically away from the road.
Yeah.
And you have to walk around to it and turn the corner. So as we're turning the corner very cautiously, and my heart's I'm like sweating, we're trying to look through the mausoleum doors because, they're kind of shaded and it is locked. And she's like right there up against the glass.
Right
and all of a sudden, this crack of thunder just rings through the cemetery, and we just scream and start running away. And I was like, this is perfect. It was so perfect.
It was so bad. I mean, we were trying so hard to look in, and because I was doing a little just looking on my phone because we were trying to find it. And they were saying that one of the new legends is that if you see her, see tears on her face, it means you're gonna die soon. So we were trying to see her face, and it had to have been the lighting or something, but it was you could not see her face no matter what.
Yeah.
There was always a reflection, or it was too dark, or I was trying pretty hard to see the face, and I couldn't see it. But
yeah,
it was also I didn't want to look at her for too long either, because she was so...
It was terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, but it was so creepy. I rounded that corner, and I saw her silhouette, and I was like, nope. Really the other side.
Well, also, the door was locked, but we just had the 4th of July, and people had been in the graveyard putting flowers out, and I think that the family put flowers out recently, and the door was slightly ajar but chained. And so the condensation on the glass, I think there was quite a bit of condensation from the humidity that you just really couldn't see in there. That made it worse, I think, because when you go up to a mausoleum, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to try to see inside it, and you have to cup your hands and everything to see. I wasn't going to put my hands up against that glass.
No way.
But I think the first thing your mind is expecting is someone's hand to hit the glass from the inside when you look through a mausoleum, and that she's just right there.
Yeah.
She was scarier than the one in Iowa City.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the atmosphere, and I mean, I was saying earlier, I swear to God, the whole time we were in the cemetery, it was sprinkling on us. But we accidentally took the wrong road, and we left the cemetery, and we weren't getting rained on. But the second we got back in the cemetery, it was sprinkling on us again. And the second that we parked just in front of the mausoleum, it just started pouring. I mean, I think it also had a lot to do with that atmosphere, but I'm also convinced that if I go back when it's nice out, I'm still going to be just as freaked out.
I think it's just that she's hidden, and with the one in Iowa City, she's right there. You can see her from quite a long distance off, so you go, oh God, there she is. Yeah. But that only lasts for a second. With the one in Muscatine, she's just hidden away. Yeah. And the fact that you can't see what's going on in there is Yeah.
Well, and she's like facing the woods too, and so it's like you have this expansive. I mean, it gives you the feeling that something can come out and get you too, because you don't know what could be behind you. I mean, it's a combination of a lot of bad things, I think.
Yeah, but it was really kind of fun experience, but it just gave me like the heebie-jeebies. I can't even explain it.
Yeah.
So if you live anywhere within driving distance, go see those two angels. They're pretty great.
They are. They're very cool.
I don't have anything. People are still setting off fireworks up here, though.
Of course.
Oh, great. Yeah, our neighborhood was lit last night.
It happened since the weekend, so.
Yeah. Okay, so don't forget to submit your stuff for the t-shirts, and we're going to sign out for tonight. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Did we say what next week was?
Oh, we did it!
Yeah, okay. So next week is Rachel's going to be out of town on business, so we're going to be doing groundbreaking horror films. Any film that started... Help me out here, Miranda.
That was just kind of a big deal in horror that kind of shook the genre.
Yeah.
And maybe created something new or gave life back.
Yeah,
just
something that made a part of horror, like a genre within horror, more popular. It's a broad subject, so we have a lot to choose from. Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting episode.
It's going to be fun.
Okay, so, all right.
We haven't been saying anything about social media, so you guys can follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, and we're on Tumblr too, but nobody follows us on Tumblr. Yay!
We also don't post on Tumblr.
I post all of our episodes on Tumblr.
But not like...
That's it, though.
Other content.
Obviously SoundCloud, we're on Stitcher now, we're on TuneIn Radio, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube.
Like, basically wherever you want to listen to us, you can find us there.
Yes.
Thanks again for the iTunes reviews. They're really super nice to see. And please keep reviewing us there. So we know, what you like and what you don't. Like we said, we're going to be getting new mics soon, so that'll be super exciting. We'll be clear as day, hopefully.
And you can edit this out if you want to. But I just wanted to say, shout out to Sean on the horror show, who has been super helpful these last few days. He's been giving us a lot of advice. I don't know if I've ever talked about the horror show on here, but really, if you guys aren't listening to Sean and Joe, they're incredible. They're so funny. They'll have you crying from laughter. Definitely check those guys out. And yeah, just a shout out to them, because they've been super helpful in this whole process.
Yeah, that's very nice of them to give us this advice, because we actually have no idea what we're doing. I know it doesn't seem like that and that you are shocked right now, but we actually really just don't know what's up with anything technical. So, all right.
All right. I think that's everything.
I think we've shocked and thrilled and entertained the masses now.
I think so.
We are going to chill, and I'm going to start the new thriller that I just got, and have an awesome night.
Yeah.